Today, I wish to make a comment, and really I want to stress that to win over Kenyans in the fight against COVID-19, the government should not use brutal force. I join myself with sober voices that have raised concern regarding police brutality in the effort to enforce the coronavirus COVID-19 curfew. As part of these measures set to defeat the pandemic in the country, President Uhuru Kenyatta announced a curfew that will go indefinitely starting from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. every day starting from 27th of March. Although he did not state so expressly, this curfew effectively brings Kenya under a state of emergency as contemplated in Articles 58 and 132 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Going forward, it will be necessary to ensure that the constitutional requirements stipulated in these articles of the supreme law of the land are adhered to. While we understand the extraordinary circumstances that have called for this extraordinary intervention, it is not possible for me to appreciate the sadistic brutality that has been part of the implementation of the curfew. The police have gone about it in a manner that is extremely inconsiderate and inhuman. They gave the impression that they are dealing with a hostile population that must be cowed in through brutal force. It is useful to remind the government that it is not at war with the citizens. Clearly, there is a yawning gap between policy formulation and policy implementation. The brutality that we have seen, especially in Likoni, is a reflection of failure to plan for the curfew. Curfews are not just imposed and implemented unless you are dealing with a hostile population in a sudden and violently disruptive situation. Curfews must be methodically planned for and all contingent considerations thought through and mitigated. In this case, there is a clear failure on the part of the government. As citizens, we call upon them to get back to the drawing boards. While some services have been classified as essential, it is embarrassing that those who provide those services have been caught up in this crass brutality. The Likoni incident did not, for example, show any mechanisms to identify health workers reporting to duty or going home after duty. It did not identify or spare journalists at work, or security guards reporting for work or going back home after work. Everything else notwithstanding, the government must admit failure in this regard and apologize to Kenyans. Elsewhere, the government must recognize that people need basics. Other countries where partial or complete shutdowns have been effected show considerate thought about the welfare of the people. Avenues exist for those who want to go to hospital or to pharmacies to buy medicines. There's room for those who want to exercise or to take a safe walk without jeopardizing the efforts to fight COVID-19. It is regrettable that in the Kenyan case, security agents have thrown a huge blind blanket over everyone that they find outside. This is wrong. Going forward, the government must seek to win over Kenyans in the effort to arrest COVID-19. It bears repeating that the country is not at war with another country or with rebels from within. We are fighting against a deadly virus. We need each other. We all need to embrace some tolerable levels of empathy in our circumstances. People must eat, for example. They are not going to sit in their houses and wait to starve to death because they have heard there is a virus. What is the state doing about their food crisis? The curfew has also paralyzed public transport. Some people waited at bus stops for as many as 4 hours without transport. How do policemen look at the watch, see that it is now 7 p.m. and suddenly descend on stranded commuters with brutality? The mismanagement of the curfew is a reflection of the thinking deficit in government. President Uhuru needs to get his team back to the drawing board and get them to come up with people-friendly interventions that will help defeat the virus. If he does not have the right people, he must shake up his teams to inject in them the sophisticated efficiency that the times we are going through demand. It cannot be business as usual. Meanwhile, I hail all those Kenyans who are abiding by the guidelines that have been provided in the war against COVID-19. Let us all do our very best to meet these requirements for our own good and for the good of everybody else. The government, for its part, must remember that it needs our support in this war. It must refrain from any temptation to dehumanize and brutalize us. Thank you.